Welcome to YACHTLLYWOOD podcast. Here we will uncover the stories behind the yachting industry.
Are you recording now?
A little bit.
Okay.
From working on yachts and appearing on Below the Deck to founding the Yacht Edit,
To me, it's not just, wow, look at this $1 million yacht.
Oriana turned experience into influence
Authenticity and personal branding is beyond important, and that can be the scariest part.
and built a platform that speaks to the new generation of the industry.
There is a lot of apprehension to market, even to be digital.
This is a conversation about growth, visibility,
I feel we still very traditional.
and what happens when you decide to create your own lane instead of waiting for one.
That's a hard question. Cut. Boat show edit cut.
If you are enjoying this podcast, I'm very happy for that. And the only thing I ask for you is your support by subscribing to this channel, by liking, commenting, and of course, sharing this podcast with your community. Welcome again to a new episode of YACHTLLYWOOD podcast, the Barefoot podcast. Today we're with Oriana Schneps.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Oriana, thank you for joining. We are in the Monaco Yacht Show days, so it's crazy, and you got this little moment for us. And yeah, we will be speaking very interesting topics that are not usually touched, but it's all about marketing, about a new generation owners and also professionals. And of course, let's start by understanding who is Oriana, beyond everything we have seen, of course, in Below the Deck and what you're doing now in yachting.
Yeah. Before Below Deck, I worked as yacht crew. I got into the industry because I loved marine biology and marine research. So starting at like 14 years old, I worked on research boats in the Bahamas. And while I was on a liveaboard, I learned about yachting, and one thing led to the next. And when I became crew, I absolutely fell in love with the industry. I loved the fact that you get to travel around the world and you see the same faces everywhere. And it's such a tight-knit community. And then fast forward a couple of years, I got on Below Deck and afterwards realized the media side was really more of, where my passion was. I love being crew, but I wanted to kind of do something that I had more flexibility. And previously I had had marketing experience. So that's where I landed today. And I started the Yacht Edit about a year ago.
And how do you feel like your path is complementing, like being so passionate about marine biology, and then as a crew member, and now what this experience brings to what you're doing now in media?
Yeah, no, great question. I think that, first of all, like the raw passion for the industry and for what we're doing really is what drives me and what allows me to go through the boat shows with a smile on my face and not get tired and hold that up, because to me, it's not just, wow, look at this $1 million yacht. These yachts take you to areas that you can't see anywhere else. And that's really exciting. And understanding how you can get to those locations really excites me. And from the crew side, when I come on board, I like to think that I understand and respect the etiquette a bit more than I would without that experience, right? I train my crew, my film crew, to be respectful, to not roll anything on the teak, to make sure their shoes and everything are stowed properly. And we really try to stay out of the way of the flow of service if there are other guests on board or clients touring the yacht, and really try to work with the crew and create that dance rather than coming on board and being intrusive and being loud in the space. Because while yachts can be massive, they are still a confined space, and it can feel small if you're not being respectful of that flow.
Of course. I feel it's always important because in the industry, we can feel a little bit of resistance.
Yeah.
We can feel a little bit of resistance, especially with owners, like thinking that we will not be discreet enough, or we will be, showing too much or disrespectful.
Right.
But this is such a big advantage, especially since you already lived all those protocols and they are already there.
So the great point, a really good point. Yeah.
So, and when you started in media and in marketing, you said you had more experience in different fields before?
Yeah. So I worked for Gary Vaynerchuk in New York. I don't know if you know, he's a big serial entrepreneur in the US. So we did marketing and big productions for Fortune 500 companies. So, you know, like massive, like 20 people film crews, filming things like Mondelez and Chips Ahoy, like candies, things like that. They won a lot of awards. They've been in Super Bowls, like the company's products. And then we also worked for smaller startups. So one of the things we did was understand how to build a startup. So go from like ideation to market to beta and then to, you know, the alpha product through marketing. So I can bring that experience to different builders or brokers that are wanting to build up their brand over time because I've already kind of seen those steps. And while I always continue to learn, I at least have that foundation from the experience there.
And how do you compare the marketing, the traditional marketing from other industries with the marketing in yachting?
I mean, yachting marketing it's very niche, as you know, as an expert in the industry. It's very niche. And it's very small, right? We all know each other and we all see each other's campaigns and need to always keep differentiating, right? Like if someone's leaning into some type of vertical for marketing strategy, you said, okay, you know, we need to now think of something different. So it's constantly evolving in a way that I think is much more aggressive than some other industries if you're trying to be innovative, because it's so small. And yeah, we're all connected.
Do you feel marketing in yachting is way too traditional? Yes. Like when you compare, I compare a lot with real estate, for example, because it's very similar.
Yeah.
And I feel we still very traditional. And I don't mean about the content that we are presenting, but the mentality of those who are not marketing, you know, who think they do not need marketing.
Yeah, I think that's an amazing point too. It's definitely a very traditional industry, and there is a lot of apprehension to market, even to be digital as an industry. I think we're still getting there, right? A lot of people still do things, you know, face to face and on paper, and even using PDF attachments sometimes might seem, you know, kind of outside the box. And I do understand, right? There's a lot of privacy that is like a concerns in yachting. There's some approvals that sometimes need to be like gone through the system because we're dealing with, you know, billionaires and their assets, right? Their private homes. But I do think there's definitely room for interruption, and that's definitely something that we at the Yacht Edit try to focus on is how can you keep differentiating and changing the industry while still being respectful of the concerns that like are pretty prevalent in it.
Yeah. So you are young, of course, and so I feel you understand more. And also coming from the US.
Yeah.
Personally, I think the US in some ways, the country starting so many trends and kind of maybe guiding also the marketing world. So how do you see it should evolve marketing in yachting without disrupting all this discretion and tradition that we have?
Yeah, no, it's funny you mentioned that about the US because I agree, but then I also look to Europe for so much inspiration as well. So I think there is this nice balance where the US is a bit, you know, more maybe open to taking risk in certain ways, but like I love the style and design, especially with what you're doing at YACHTLLYWOOD, that European flair. No, seriously, I look, you know, I get a lot of inspiration from you. That European flair has that the US doesn't always do.
You coming from that background, how do you feel we can, you know, disrupt a little bit and shake up the marketing without affecting all the discretion?
Right. I think one area of marketing in the digital like video sense that people aren't leaning into enough. I'm not talking about, you know, anything like crazy specific video idea, but through collaborations. And we're starting to see that more, right? We saw one.
We're doing it right now.
We're doing that right now. We're doing a collaboration. But like Philip Petty and Missoni at the Con Show, right? They did a collaboration on one of their boats. You see a lot of other collaborations with different management companies and maybe builders and lifestyle brands. I think there might be something exciting coming for the Monaco show in that regard. And there's lots of these opportunities that are kind of starting to develop more, where the collaborations allow larger communities to come together. And previously, I think there's been this hesitation because each brand represented their own culture and they didn't want to mix.
That is such a big problem, I have to say it, just like that. Because and I'm sure you too, have been in these situations where there is some kind of, like jealousy, even though the companies are doing things completely different, but they are afraid to associate a face which is external and even internal from the company, just to associate the face with the company. And I feel like, thanks God, I've seen a change in the last year or maybe two, that we are making marketing more and more personal, more about the people than just the company or the boat. And you are really good at personal branding. So what can you say about that?
It's hard. It's something I struggle with every day, and I never feel like I'm doing enough of. I think that authenticity and personal branding is beyond important, and that can be the scariest part. I'm still learning kind of how to do that in my space. And as you develop a brand, I think sharing your opinions is what people want to hear, right? Just having a baseline positive response to everything doesn't really provide value. So if you're able to say, it doesn't have to be anything negative, but maybe, oh, I didn't think that from what I saw online or whatever, I didn't think that this boat would be as comfortable to ride or X, Y, and Z, like sharing that.
I feel that would be very dangerous. You see it in other industries. There is, it's okay. It's criticism somehow.
Right.
But somebody needs to do it at some point.
Right.
For sure.
Right. It's dangerous though.
I'm not taking the risk.
No, me neither. But I think that's what the industry is looking for, like to have an honest opinion, nothing negative, but it is scary though.
Yeah, true. I feel you need to be like really, really have all the expertise and already be in the position.
Yes.
And I feel we're too young for that.
We're too young for sure. But if someone say they're starting out, right?
Yeah.
And they're making mistakes. Let's think of like they didn't take the shoes off, right? The most basic mistake. Sharing that experience is something that you can provide value on. Or saying, I didn't know that the master, was on the main deck, or that it has full beam and it has this, that. Like it doesn't have to necessarily be a critique of the builder, but could be of your own personal growth as well.
Okay. And another point I wanted to touch is the new generations, because I really want to focus a little bit on this, want more than the object, the yacht, they want the experience, right? And I feel there is also transition that we see there. Before we were listening too much about the specs and the speed and the engine and so on and so forth. Now it's a little bit more about the experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you capture that?
Yeah, I think from a visual standpoint and, doing the drone and videography, this is really exciting to me, right? Because you can tell a story of a lifestyle rather than just showing kind of the boat itself. You really get to bring the boat to life. And this is what people want to see. They want to see the jet skis and understand, okay, this is the situation that you will get if you buy or charter these boats. So I love kind of that direction. And I think I agree 100% that the younger generation is looking for that. It's less about the specifications and more, okay, what is this going to do for me in my life, and how will my experiences and memories, like what memories will I create on board?
What about the quality of the production? What is your intake of this? Some people love just the fun, natural videos.
Yeah.
And like personally, I always focus on trying to do quality.
Yeah. It's an amazing question, actually, because I think there is this separation between the two. I started out with only iPhone concept because I didn't know how to operate a camera. I couldn't afford a camera operator. there was just a lot of barriers to it, right? I believe that the higher quality, especially in such a luxury industry, is very important. And now we as a company primarily only use professional cameras. We'll do iPhone clips if we don't have anything else, but for our clients, it's all cameras. That would be my suggestion. But of course, I think that there is space if you can't bring.
What about for the viewer? What do they prefer? What do you feel?
It's funny. We've had a couple hit, $500,000, $1 million with iPhone clips.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. But you can't sell an iPhone clip to a client.
Of course.
So it's kind of like.
And for you personally?
I prefer the cinematic style. Of course, but because it's more luxury, it feels more high-end, almost more European, right? Less American. But for a long time, I didn't have that option.
So, yeah, I share the feeling. I prefer the high quality. I always feel if we are in a luxury industry, then also everything should be high quality, right?
Right.
So, Oriana, if you could make a big change in marketing yachting today, what would that be?
That's a hard question. I think something that, I don't know, probably I'd like to see more brokers sharing their stories would be one. I feel like there is still that hesitation. And if everyone was kind of using social more to show what they were doing, I think it would create this really connected dynamic between all of us, between the US and Europe and, everywhere. And I think also training more crew to operate drones, to create content.
For sure.
I see boats going in that direction, but only some. And it's also difficult because they also still have their full-time crew obligations and so on. There's a lot of different barriers to it. We help a lot of boats understand how to do that properly. But I think those would be the two, having the brokers, and not just brokers, but designers, builders, sharing more online and less kind of closed off. And then the crew creating those experiences and sharing them as well.
And would you think it's a good idea to mix yachting with other industries, like to create collaborations?
Yeah.
How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, similar to what we were talking before, where, one of the companies, or Philip Petty, did something with the clothing designer, right? I think there's a lot of overlap for the appropriate parallel industries.
Yeah, okay.
So racing and horseback riding, like eventing, real estate to an extent, designers, like fashion designers, wellness, as long as the brands align. And I think the benefit that people don't always see, besides the fact that you're reaching a new luxury audience, is you're also seeing your brand from a different perspective, and you're learning about how other brands perceive you and how you fit into this global universe of businesses.
Yes, of course.
Right? I think it's super important to collaborate. Even what we're doing, collaborating, right? We're learning about each other and our brands and helping each other grow in that way. So,
yeah.
Yeah,
I think there are so many opportunities. Of course, yachting in this context will be always, let's say, will be actually the opportunity for the other industries, right?
Yeah.
And it's something I also speak very much with my clients, because we can cut costs in production, kind of bring in these other collaborations, and I feel that's amazing. But this is also where this kind of resistance I was speaking comes up, and it's tricky, but I so feel we can do it. And I feel like in the US it's much more open for this kind of collaborations, right?
Yeah, no, it's interesting. We do that a lot, especially in Miami.
Yes.
So we'll work with like, a alcoholic spirit company. We'll do like influencer collaborations. We work a lot with the like luxury restaurants in Miami, where we'll have a boat builder that wants more exposure, bring like influencers or, people that have been on reality shows or whatever it might be, athletes, whoever they are. We'll have them, for example, bring them to a high-end restaurant, have dinner there. The boat's sitting right outside on the dock. Everyone in that restaurant seeing the boat, seeing the builder's name, all of that. And then they'll go back and it cuts costs for them. It creates an experience that we can film.
Exactly.
And it gives them exposure beyond just our video.
Yeah.
So 100%.
Exactly.
100%.
So what would be your biggest advice for people in yachting in their marketing campaigns?
My biggest advice is better be good. I think that, and this sounds probably pretty basic, but I tell my editing team this all the time. If you don't think you're going to want to watch something yourself, no one else is going to watch it. If you're watching a video and you're just like, this is so boring, everyone's going to feel that same way. And you need to lean into that and shift. Because a lot of people think, okay, I might think this is boring, but someone will like it. That's not the right approach. Like, trust your gut and trust what entertainment feels like to you, and don't settle for anything less than that.
Okay. And now that you touched this point, how do you, there is this problem of the 3 first seconds of the video. If you don't hook the person, you're done. And then, of course, we have all this ocean of content flowing all the time. Yeah. How do you do to stand out and also kind of to have a signature for each one of your content, right? Because everything has to be so dynamic. So what will be the trick?
Yeah, so I learned a lot working with one of my clients, Yacht World, and Ryan McVinney. He's the global director there. And he's always talking to us about how can we, create engaging content consistently in the first 3 seconds, and those matter a lot. I think what I see a lot of brokers doing, or whomever, is standing with themselves in the first 3 seconds instead of figuring out what the most exciting shot is. And he always reminds me, I do the same thing. I'll start my video like that, and he'll remind us, make sure that you put the best clip of your video first, and then you tell your story. Yeah. So he's told us that a lot. Another thing he also taught me was that every 3 seconds there needs to be a change. Yeah. So not just, first 3, okay, then we can do whatever you want, but every 3 seconds, something exciting needs to happen. Yeah. And it can be 30 seconds is a long time if you break it into those intervals.
Of course. So. Oh, it's so tricky. It's so tricky to continuously
It's so hard. And to make every single video different, I mean, not every single video works, right? Some flop, but you got to keep going.
But we need it, and we need this... we needed to do it continuously from different perspectives and Instagram, LinkedIn, and everything. And something that I say to my clients is like, it's not going nowhere. We are already in this era, and the only choice you have is to keep up, because the longer you wait, the more behind you will be, and the more work you will have to do.
It's true. It's true. People think, they're going to go away. TikTok was going to go away, Instagram, but no.
It's not going to go away.
They're going to go away.
Do you feel Instagram is becoming a platform for, like, maybe TikTok will replace Instagram at some point? Like Instagram replaced Facebook?
Right. I mean, I think the way I try to look at it is more about the median that the content's being produced rather than the platforms, right? Because the platforms will always evolve. Maybe it'll be TikTok, maybe it'll be something else. They tend, from what I've seen, to be generational, right? So like millennials, I think they'll migrate with Instagram. Yeah. And then we'll start developing some younger millennials into the younger generations will grow up through TikTok. But I think the evolution is really going to be more about the type of content. So now we're leaning into AI a lot in the industry and understanding what that looks like. For the drone side, it's FPV and different kind of perspective drones. Those shifts will continue to change. But it doesn't mean that you should not put your effort into the platforms now. It's just everything's going to evolve, unfortunately. It's a fast industry from marketing, and it never sleeps. Marketing's 24/7.
Of course. And what is your vision? How do you see yourself in 10 years? What do you want to do?
Yeah. 10 years, I mean, I hope to have the Yacht Edit be an international brand where we're working with amazing companies and people like yourself and collaborating with different builders and brokerages and designers around the world. I'm newer to the European market. I just started really meeting people here last year. but I would love to be able to work with everyone and continue to grow just as a creative visual brand, right? That's what we want to be able to deliver is you work with us, we'll bring you, engaging and creative content.
Yes.
That makes you stand out.
For
That's
sure.
kind of where we
Authentic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Thank you, Oriana.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. And it's beautiful.
Thank you for watching. Maybe one time I'll interview.
Yeah.
Let's change. Okay.
I hope you guys enjoyed this conversation. And as I said before, I am working so hard to bring you the best guests, to give you the deepest insight from the super yacht industry. So please don't forget to subscribe, comment, like, and of course, share this with everybody that you think they will be interested in learning more from this amazing world. I send you a big hug and I'll see you next time.